Yo, I am under the weather right now, and being under the weather often kind of resets me mentally. It helps me, this is the topic for the video, experience the world deeper than broader. It's super abstract and vague, but I think, when you're sick, the reprioritization of kind of the present living, the now, takes over. When you're sick and you have a little cold, you're just kind of chilling there. You have nothing that you can do. You know, your assignments you kind of have to put on hold, your obligations you cancel. You get out of your routine that you've been on for so long, and you kind of just truly experience the now for what it is. Obviously, being sick is annoying and unfortunate, and I don't mean like some chronic illness type stuff, because that is super challenging. But to just kind of catch a cold every once in a while, I think it totally resets your I don't know, it just re-highlights kind of what's important to you. Because when you are sick, you're only worried about your health. You're going to take it easy, hopefully. You're going to eat soup. You're going to just sit and do nothing because you've been so busy for so long. And for me, you know, I usually, I'm very fortunate. I have a very good immune system. I'm young. I'm active. I'm healthy. But I do get sick. And when I look back at the moments I get sick, I realize that I've been pushing myself far too hard in life. And through pushing myself, I lose track of how to actually take care of myself. I lose track of healing and resting and just living in the present. My head is always elsewhere, but when I'm sick, it's just here in the now in the world. And so this past week, it's crazy. Like, I have a pretty intense workout schedule that I want to adhere to. And on top of that, I'm doing my research. And then, in the evenings, every evening, I had like some random social event that I had to go to. Not with necessarily like friends, but it was just like an obligation through like my university or like extracurricular involvement. And it's just this relentless wake up, go here, do a workout, go do research, go talk to people for like an hour. Then after the day is done, go spend 3 more hours, 4 more hours socializing. Then come home, have no time to chillax, brain still wired. Go to bed, have the worst sleep possible, wake up, do it again. And it's like, in the moment of that, I kind of enjoy it. But then, obviously, my body doesn't as much because it is getting sick. It got sick and it wished that I somehow reprioritized a little bit. Maybe I didn't do an extra workout last week, But notwithstanding, you can't go back in the past. But I think now when you're sick, you can kind of experience the world for what it is again. Gets you out of your bubble of thought. But this is kind of where I started this thought a little bit. And I realized how connected being sick is to this idea that I'm trying to get at is focus deeper on stuff than like wider. Like I think meditation tries to do this, for instance. So we are very busy in life, and if you ever listen to some meditation videos, what they encourage you to do is to listen to your breath. They encourage you to listen to the world around you. Notice the sounds. They encourage you to take note of the little sensations of your head, for instance, maybe resting on the ground or the surface that you're laying on, or take note of the weight of your body pushing onto a surface. You know, what meditation's doing is it's describing these sensations that exist at all times. Your breath exists, noises around you exist, the weight of your body on the surfaces exist. These exist all the time. But what meditation is doing, the process of it, it's helping you dig a little bit deeper into those sensations that you are experiencing. Because if you don't pay attention to them, if you don't bring your notice to them, then you won't really be experiencing them as much. You know, I think often our attention is elsewhere. Often our attention is concerned with crossing the street. If we're going outside, I have to go to work. Often our attention is thinking about what we have to do when we get to work. Our attention also is concerned with that embarrassing remark that you made in a conversation yesterday. Our attention's also concerned with needing to do your chores, or you have to figure out dinner for later. You have to go text this person. You have to, oh, are you ready for it too? Also concerned with just, what do I want to do in my future? What am I doing? For me, I was 25. I'm like, geez, I have my whole world ahead of me. There's all these concerns that I think that our default mode of operation is often in. And what meditation, or this idea of digging deeper, does is it brings more notice and energy to the sensations that are actually in the present and around you. And it makes those more important than these very broad and wide array of many different things that don't necessarily directly affect your current living. So I think this idea of digging deeper, if you're able to do it, you can get a lot of reprieve from your anxiety and because you're just existing at this point. You don't have these worries of all the day-to-day things, and I think it's still important to think about them. But I want to talk about this a bit further. I want to drill a bit deeper into it. So I was talking about how sickness kind of brings you in the moment, and then meditation is another interesting descriptor of it. But I'm even thinking just in your day-to-day life, when you are, the example I had that I wanted to share, it's for instance, when you're washing the dishes, maybe you actually get to load the dishwasher or something. I don't have a dishwasher. It's kind of brutal, but it is what it is. Um, Beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy to wash my dishes too. Uh, but in this process of washing dishes, right? I think a lot of us have done it so many times, and it becomes this chore. It's often described as a chore, but I think this idea of digging deeper makes it not necessarily become a chore anymore. Because when you're there washing dishes and you are noticing every like sud in the sink, you're noticing every plate that you need to wash, and you're approaching this a lot more slowly and engaged with what you're doing. You are putting some soap in and splashing around, and you're actually taking note, like in meditation, of your actions in the world. You're taking note of you're standing there, you turn the tap on, some water comes out. What's the temperature of the water? How bubbly is it? What like what does the texture feel like when you're scrubbing your dishes, or even like when you're loading the dishwasher, being engaged with the process of loading it? You know, are you just throwing everything in unintentionally, or is there like some actual present living intention to your actions? Are you stacking the dishes in some nice order that you like or enjoy? Um, and I know this sounds kind of funny because it's just like doing dishes, but honestly, think about it. Doing dishes is part of your life. It's part of your everyday life. Sure, you can view it as a chore, but it's also can be viewed as your life. You know, every part of your life is a chore. Every part of your life is quote unquote doing dishes, you know? Everything takes effort in it. So it's about kind of accepting that you have to do these things and then finding a deeper connection to the actions of doing it. When you are going to like your menial job that maybe you don't like, it's not about like thinking about not being there. It's also about just finding a deeper connection to what you're doing in the now. Maybe it's like um, depends so wholly on what you do, but it's just having kind of this deeper intention behind your actions, because this is just your life. You know, when I was 16, like 10 years ago, I worked at a Boston pizza making place, and I think, you know, it's viewed as just some like job where you just sling dough all the time. But today I can frame that more so as like I'm gonna, you know, have some intention behind my dough making. And I think this is where like the idea of like people that have pride in their job, pride in their work, where does that pride come from? I think it's because they have just a deeper noticing in their job. They are not, their brain is not elsewhere thinking about something else in the world. Their brain is kind of in the here and the now, doing the task and doing the best that they can. And for me, I think that popped up a lot in my current situation in life, where I'm decided to do my master's. It's in electrical engineering. And let me tell you, for a lot of my life, I had it in my head, all these little projects that I wanted to work on. You know, I wanted to do a coding project here. I wanted to do some microcontroller work. I wanted to do some 3D printing. I want to start a company. I want to, you know, just do everything. And then I want to do well in school and do my research and do my courses and then do my running or something. You know, I was always casting this really large net. And when I cast this huge net in life of all these possibilities that I could be doing, I realized when I was doing that, it meant I was actively choosing to not be happy in whatever it is that I am currently doing. Like, I am doing my thesis. I am doing my research. It's like washing dishes. I have to wash these dishes. I have to. Well, you don't have to do anything, to be honest. But like, it's just something that you probably should do, And I enrolled myself in my thesis, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna follow through with this. And it's when you're disinterested in the thing that you chose and you're focused on the rest of the world around you, how can you expect to do a very quality job, a very quality piece of effort into like your thesis? Or how do you expect to find joy in these like really mundane tasks if you just can't find joy in the whole thing that you signed up for anyway? And if your head's always elsewhere, if my head is always elsewhere and like, oh, I'm doing my thesis, but I want to go code my project and start a company or something, if I can never just fully appreciate what I'm doing right now, then I will just never fully appreciate anything, because you exist in the now. Your world is in the now. You do not experience the future. You will one day, but at the present, your frame of reference of existence is not living in some future reality or living in some past. It is the here and the now. So if you cannot even learn to appreciate the things that you're doing right now, how can you appreciate what you'll be doing at a point in time in the future? You'll just never have that. And I think when I have these ambitions, I want to do a project, a company, whatever, I shouldn't fully close myself off to that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I should not just put so much weight to these ideas that I'm unfocusing my work and my research. There's a time and a place for everything. If I can do my research and then also maybe find time that doesn't detract to do something else, that's great. But when you're like stacking like 4 or 5 whatever things and you're just like dipping your toe into all of them without actually fully engaging, and are you really appreciating it to the level that you could be? Are you really making the work that you truly value? No, you're not. So I think this idea of like meditation even can connect to the actions that you're doing in your own life in the present. I think that the idea of meditation is all about present living, It doesn't just have to be about calming of the mind, but it could be a refocusing of the mind with the here and the now. And the idea of meditation with your own life circumstances, Instead of focusing on having to get, I don't know, like maybe you're dissatisfied with some of your friends, and like it's totally true. But then you can ask yourself, how much have you been giving to those friendships anyway? How can a friendship even flourish if it's not being like appreciated in any depth? So, because your head is just somewhere else. So I think like looking a bit deeper at things in your life is good. I think another one is I've been noticing like decorating my apartment, for instance. I think at face value, the idea of decorating your apartment is like, that's kind of like a waste of time. It just all depends upon who you ask, But at face value, some person could be like, it's a waste of time. Why would I want to like take the time to decorate my space if, I'm not going to be there that much, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think like taking that time for your space, taking that time for your world that you will sleep in and engage with, I think it just enriches you to a level that I cannot even articulate with words, because it's a feeling. When you are able to literally just take a sec and intentionally put up a little bit of decorations and with care, I think that's amazing. And I feel like that's the idea of plants. Like, I have a bunch of plants in my apartment, and I've really noticed that when I am incredibly busy in life, my ability to care for the plants goes down. I stop checking the moisture contents of the soil with my finger as frequently, because my concern is not with the kind of present deepenings around me, like the world around me, but it's concerned with like where I need to be that's not here in my place. But if you're more engaged and in tune with the world around you now, suddenly the plants become more, they flourish, I'm kind of in tune with them. I understand their needs. I understand that, for instance, I should have been providing them with, I did some research, providing with them with some like fertilizer every like 2 weeks or so, along with their regular watering cycles. When you take note of this stuff, you do get a deeper and more enriched connection with the world that you're living in, because you start to kind of connect with things on the just on like a not a surface level connection. It's deepened. You take time when you speak. You take time when you approach an activity. You're not rushing to any conclusion like you would if you had this wider net cast of things that you wanted to get done and do. When you have such a large list, you're in a rush to do everything. When do you take a sec to just do one of those tasks with care? You just never. You just don't have the time, you feel. But what if you had, for instance, so you had 10 tasks and you only had 10 minutes to do all of them? Or, I don't know. I'm trying to make up something right now. Suppose you had 10 tasks and you had an hour to do all of them. Now suppose you had one task and you had an hour to do that task. Like, which one, like, in totality, yeah, you'll get like the 10 tasks done maybe, and you'll get the one task done. But like, which one do you think would have some more notes of quality to it, Which one do you think would actually resonate deeper with people? Which one exudes this like sublime like connection to others? We know when we see something that just has like this effort behind it. It's such a weird concept that you just can't put your finger on it. But you can see when like art is made with some level of effort. You can see when designs are built with lots of thought behind it. I think in our current world, in like AI art that appears, like there's a lot of inconsistencies that can show up in this art, and and it looks a lot of sterile. When you get ChatGPT or any of these LLMs to write for you, for instance, they're incredibly good at creating like a cohesive sentence. But I found in my experience they're incredibly bad at actually having any substance to the words that they type. After you read it, you kind of be like, okay, that sounded pretty okay, like to your brain, but like it lacked the substance, the depth that a human would have integrated into that. And it's a whole other world and reasons as to I could probably explain and articulate why this might be. But this idea of depth, I think, is just not something that AI or technology really has access to. But you can use the technology to create depth. But like technology can't just do it for you. You have to be there, engaged. And I think when you are there and you are engaged with what you're doing, when you're kind of, laying on your couch, reading a book, and you're truly present with the world around you, you can feel the texture of your sofa and the fabric of your blanket, and you're just flipping your pages, and you can feel the roughness of the page, like and it bending through your fingers as you turn. When you can like do that on your couch, like that is truly freeing, like that you're just existing. But this use case of technology that I have some videos on it in terms of like I want you to step on your headphones and like living in the here and the now. When you constantly fill your mind with content that is not here in the present. So for instance, you're going for a walk and you're listening to something. You're not really focused on the present. Your focus is elsewhere. So you don't really have the depth that I'm talking about. You just have this like the wide casted net again. You just like you're casting your attention between the thoughts that you have in your mind, the world around you as you walk through it, and this like audio book. There's like three things. It's a lot. And you never really fully engage with it. And I think like the endless, like I have another video on like the algorithm, when you let the algorithm decide for you what to watch, and like, you constantly click on the next video, like you're not really there in the moment. Your brain is elsewhere. It does not have any depth to it. But if you have some depth, you are then more engaged with what you choose to watch. You are more thoughtful and even engaged in the content. Like you click on this content, and like you actually know it's like, yes, I am genuinely interested in this, and I will sit and listen and learn. And like you think about the words that are spoken and come up with your own feelings to them instead of just fed content. And I think that's where the news and everything can truly capitalize on this, is of people that don't have depth to them, that are just these shallow livers that just react to statements that come out instantly. Where there's in breaking news somewhere, or some politician did XYZ, and it's just a very reactive, shallow reactions that I think a lot of us have, instead of like an actual read, internalize, and just like think. And decisions don't have to be made within 5 seconds. Opinions don't have to be formed in 10 seconds. It can take more time. But we're just not in that world right now. So much of the world externally to us, all these external forces are trying to make us rapidly choose kind of what we want and act on impulse at all times. We're almost at a short circuit phase of this idea of deep living. So like when you live deep, and you live deep with intention and thought behind your actions, it's the complete polar opposite to our short-circuited living of just acting on pure impulse. When you wake up, you got an impulse and look at your phone, and then impulse go to Instagram, and impulse watch some videos, and then news, and then make an opinion right away, and then it's just this never ending, like rapid pace of life. And people wonder where the time goes, but it's because they're all just living so damn fast. These rapid impulses of pace just will speed up your life till it's done. So I think like this idea of living deeper as well can truly just enrich the time that you have on this earth, and make the time that you spend a hell of a lot more intentional. And isn't that what we want in this world? We want to be able to remember the story that we're writing, instead of look back and wonder where the time went. I don't know about you, but I certainly want to live the story instead of just rushing to the end. But that's enough for today. I'm Matthew, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation on experiencing the world a bit deeper and a lot less shallower. Peace. Bling.